Welcome to the Karen Kenney Show.
Hey, you guys, welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. I'm really happy to be here with you. And mostly I'm happy for the opportunity to connect with you. You know, I never take that for granted that there are actual humans out there who decide to spend part of their day with me. And whether I'm going with you on a walk, like you're walking your dog or your kids in the stroller, or you're just out there with your weighted vest on or whatever you're doing, or you put me on when you're in the car. I'm surprised, like at least once a week, I'm surprised when somebody will offhandedly say to me, yeah, that episode where you talked about, and I'll say, wait, you listen to my show? So I honestly super duper appreciate it. And look, there's some heavy shit going down on in the world, and when isn't there, you know? And I thought about it. I thought about it long and hard. I have plenty to say. I have plenty to say about all the different kinds of violence that have been happening in the world. I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things. And when I thought about getting into it today, I thought, you know what? I want to do something and I want to share something that actually lit my heart up. And it's something that I wanted to share with you. Not that the other conversations aren't important because they are. And I always just say, I just trust my inner teacher, and I trust the divine intelligence that is trying, that tries to come through me and my knucklehead. So this is what I want to talk to you about today. I may have mentioned on an episode a long time ago, and or I did a post about it somewhere, sometime. I wrote about this. I know I did. But back in college, I went to Boston University, and back at BU, we're freshmen. When you first get into college, like, of course, at that age, you think you know everything. You kind of have your head up your ass, but you don't really know it yet. But everybody's trying to figure out like who they are and their identity and what their thing is. And I had a friend who was taking some psychology classes. I think we all took psychology like our freshman year as one of the electives or whatever. But she was like really into it. And so she would always come up to us and she would look at us and she'd say, how are you? Like, how are you doing? And you'd be like, especially as a little masshole, right? I'd always be like, fine. And she'd be like, and she would stop and she'd like squint her eyes and she'd nod her head and I'm doing it right now. If you're watching this, you can see me doing it. And she would like really look at you and like tilt your head and squint her eyes and say, but how are you really? And it like used to drive me crazy, right? Well, fast forward, here we are today. And I can deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate the powerful impact of that simple question. And I was just reminded of this because I came across that in Australia, the second Thursday of September, there is a day that is called Are You OK Day. Are You OK Day? And it always falls on the second Thursday of September, so the date sometimes changes. This year it fell on September 11th, and I thought, just what a perfect day for this to land on for so many different reasons. And the premise of this organization, Are You OK? The Are You OK kind of foundation or whatever, was started by a guy whose father had taken his own life, right? He had died by suicide. And he got inspired, of course, by that tragic loss, like something like, I think his father took his own life in like 2009. And then, however many years later, as an adult, who now had children and stuff like that, he decided to create this organization. And the premise and the heartbeat of it is you ask people. Now, so they use the letter. This is a hard letter for me to say. It's so literally think of it like this. The letter the letter U, and then okay with the question mark, right? Are you okay? And what I love about this organization is that they encourage people to reach out to others around them and ask this question, like, are you okay? Checking in with people, right? It's encouraging people checking in with people. And especially when, and this is one of the parts that I love about it, because the requirement on this part, your part, if you participate in this, is you have to be awake enough and pay attention enough to recognize that maybe somebody has been a little off lately. Maybe you notice a change in their demeanor or their mood or their energy or whatever. You know how you just know when a person you know or a person you work with or a person you go to class with or whatever the thing is, you just maybe get a hit like, I don't know, they might be struggling, they might be suffering. So number one is you got to be able to be aware of your environment, like get out of your own little bubble and pay attention to the people, the animals, the things around you, right? Enough and pay attention enough that you can clock, oh yeah, so and so seems a little down, so and so seems a little quiet, so and so seems a little off, like whatever the word, your word is for that, right? And one of the things I loved about, first of all, I just love that they asked this question. And also the reminder that while there is an Are You Okay day, we can ask this of each other anytime, any day. You know what I mean? But what's beautiful is that they recognize that some people may not feel comfortable asking these questions or may not feel equipped to ask these questions or might be afraid that what if they get an answer of like, no, I'm not okay, and they feel like they're not prepared or whatever. And one of the things that they do is they talk about it. And, you know, one of the things that I took away from it is the realization that a meaningful, and that's the key word, like a meaningful. So we don't just ask it flippantly, like, are you okay? Like, and then move on with your life, right? It's how a meaningful conversation can really make a difference. How being willing to ask the question, even if it's awkward, even if it's a little uncomfy, even if you're a little nervous about it, that you take the time to like do this, to pay attention, and then to ask. And because they know it can be hard for people to bring these kinds of things up, they give you simple steps, right? And it's 4 simple steps of how to do it. And these 4 simple steps can totally change a life. And I know that some people, and they have like a lot of stats and a lot of resources. We're going to talk about that. But I know that a lot of times people think that they're like, I don't want to be nosy. I don't want to butt in. I don't want to like place myself maybe where it's not my place, blah, blah, blah. But the research shows that when you consistently check in with people, when you consistently ask them, like, how are you doing? I noticed this. Are you okay? These kinds of things actually help people to feel grateful. People state that they feel grateful, that they feel supported, they feel like they matter, they feel like they've been seen, they feel like somebody actually wants to hear them and listen to them, they feel cared for. And let me tell you this. My last episode, I was talking about how we are so disconnected right now. Everybody's in their own little bubble. So many people are just like in their own world, thinking about themselves, not looking up from their devices, not checking out what's going on. And there's a lot, we know that there's a lot of separation and division and shit that's going on in this world. And for a lot of people do not feel like they belong, that they matter, that they are seen, that anybody notices that maybe they're off or different or whatever. And it's such a simple thing to be able to ask somebody, you know, like, are you okay? How are you doing? I noticed this. And, you know, that's why there's a joke that sometimes goes around. And sometimes, like, you know, with women and people, especially who I know that are considered like strong people or the strong ones, you know, we sometimes will jokingly say, hey, check on your strong friends. We see it in memes. We sometimes see therapists, you know, do content online saying like, hey, check on the people that you tend not to worry about, right? Because people are not always going to raise their hand or shoot a text or call you or whatever and say, hey, I'm struggling. Hey, I'm suffering. Hey, this thing is going on and I feel overwhelmed and I don't know how to handle it on my own. A lot of people kind of suck at asking for help, asking for support, and they're not going to be the one to bring it up. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people when I ask them, well, if you're struggling or if you're suffering in some way, and why don't you ask for help? And some people will say asking for help makes me feel weak. It's not what we did in our family. But one of the things I hear all the time is, I don't want to be a burden. Life is already so fucked. So many people are going through hard things. Everybody's got their own problems. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to add on to that. So one of the beautiful things we can do for each other, one of the gifts that we give to each other, is we go first. We are courageous enough to go first and to ask the question. And I'm going to share with you like their 4 steps that they recommend and like how they kind of do it, which is, I think, super, super, super fantastic. But I'm also going to share this criteria. Excuse me. Hold on. Excuse me. The criteria that you might want to check in with yourself about first before you ask this question is, you have to make sure, you know how they always say, like when you're on a plane or something, like that old saying, like you got to put your own mask on first, right? So I think of it like this, like you've got to make sure that you are in the right place yourself to actually be available, to actually be helpful, so that your offer to be helpful doesn't end up becoming harmful, right? So some of the things that they recommend are this. You got to ask yourself these 3 questions. Am I ready? Right? Am I ready to have this conversation? What's my energy level like? Like, what's my headspace? What's my mindset like, right now? Am I willing? Like, am I open for business, right? As I often say, am I able to genuinely listen? Am I gonna be looking at my watch the whole time or checking on my phone the whole time? Like, what's my headspace like? Am I available? Am I open for business? And can I give as much time as might be needed? Because look, the conversation might wrap up pretty fast and they'll say, you know what? I am struggling. I am having a hard time, but I have so much support from my sweetie or my friend, or you know what? I have a strong family support system, or, I just started going to therapy, whatever. So they might really appreciate it and say, I know I've been off my game a little bit, but I promise I'm getting support. And like, that's it. That's the time, right? But somebody else might need a little more time to kind of process things and talk about things and, to warm up to like being open and vulnerable, right? Vulnerability does not come wicked easy for a lot of people. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing. Am I ready? Like, am I ready to be a good listener? Am I ready to be present? Am I in a good headspace? So I'm not doing this and now I'm going to feel overwhelmed and like modded. Like, you're not going to mod yourself because you're just a people pleaser and you're codependent and you're trying to like do more than you're actually capable of doing. Okay. Then the second question they suggest is, am I prepared? And it's like, and these are the questions they say to ask yourself. Do I understand that if I ask how someone's how someone's doing, the answer could be like, no, I'm not doing okay. Like if you ask somebody, are you okay? And they say like, no, I'm not. Are you prepared? Do you also go into it knowing that your job is not to fix anybody, right? You can't. I mean, sometimes, yeah, maybe their problem is they're hungry and you can buy them a sandwich. Maybe you can fix that. But it doesn't mean if they're an unhoused person that you can continue to like do that, right? We can't fix everybody's problems. Some things we can fix. Maybe you can connect them with somebody. Maybe you have a resource that they need. Like, yeah, but it's like sometimes you might not be able to. And do you accept also that just because you're ready to talk and you're ready to ask and you're ready to be available and present, they might not be able to, they may not be ready for it yet. Or they might not see you as, somebody that they trust or a safe place for them for whatever reason, So number 1, am I ready? Number 2, am I prepared for whatever could happen, as a result of asking this question? And number 3, this is really, really, really important. This is wicked important just in general. Did you pick your moment? You got to pick your moment. So have you chosen a good time and a place to actually have this conversation? Did you choose a place that's relatively private? Is it kind of quiet maybe, right? Like, is it comfy? Right? You don't want to be like putting somebody on the spot, like in a really public place, especially if you feel like there might be tears or there might be emotion or there might be like whatever's going to come up. Right? Have you figured out a time that would be good for them, not just you? Also, you got to keep them in mind, right? It's a good time for them to chat. And again, have you made sure that there's enough time for the both of you to have this conversation? Like these things are like wicked important as well. Um, Okay, so here's just to now look, some of you might be listening and you might be like, I already know how to do this. Well, then maybe this episode isn't for you, but it might be for somebody else. It might be a good one to pass on to your children, right? Kids these days, teenagers these days, young ones, they are going through some stuff. I mean, all you got to do is go online, look at the news, whatever. It is a world of fucking violence and madness and insanity. And a lot of people, again, are not in the habit of looking outside of themselves and checking in on other people. It is somewhat of a lost art form. And so you might have kids who like want to get better, learn how to be better friends, learn how to be better listeners, like whatever. I think this is a really, really powerful and fun way. I just thought it was so lovely when I heard about this, that there was an Are You Okay Day. I thought it was so fantastic. I'm like, I got to share it with you. So maybe this is something that you can share with somebody else if you feel like you're already an expert at this. All right. Okay. So here are their 4 steps for how to go about asking this question and having this kind of conversation. And they call it ALEC, ALEC. Easy way to remember this, right? So the first thing is that you ask. You ask them in your own words. Don't be a weirdo, right? You ask them in your own words, like, hey, how you doing? Or hey, are you doing okay? Or hey, I noticed, da 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 da. Just wanted to check in with you, right? So number 1, you ask, are you okay? Excuse me. The second thing is you want to listen. You don't want to just like there's active listening, right? There's all different kinds of words about this. In fact, I wrote it down. I might do a whole podcast about this. Socrates called it like I think reflective listening. Whether we call it conscious communication, active listening, mirroring, whatever, seeking to understand, blah, blah, blah. When we listen, we want to be really good listeners. And you're listening without judgment. You're listening with your presence, like you're being present. You're not acting distracted. You're not checking your watch, like you're actively listening. You are giving them your time. This is one of the greatest gifts you can give to people is ways of showing love. 1 is paying attention. Number 2 is giving them your time, but be present. Don't be like a body, lights on, but nobody's home. Active listening. Let them know that you're hearing them. You know what I mean? And then the third step, right, is encourage action. So you can ask them things like, what's and we do this sometimes. I do this sometimes when I work with clients, especially if we're doing some sort of, if people are like highly procrastinating or can't take steps forward or sabotaging or whatever. And, we might get down to what's the next smallest right step you can take? What's the next smallest step? Like, is there a step that you can take, a small step that you can take that could help? Is this anything that you've dealt with before? Have you found that you've been through this before and there were some things that helped, and ask them to maybe can you remember the things that were helpful? Now, if they share something that is outside of your realm of ability to handle it or to help or whatever, like you have to recognize, I always say, recognize what's outside of your scope of expertise or your ability to help somebody. The next step, and this is for me part of being prepared, is can you help them find some resources, right? Can you help them to get support if you are not the person who can do that, right? There are times when somebody might come to you and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. And I'll often say to people, well, I'm not an addictions counselor, right? We can talk about X, Y, and Z, but if you're really looking for X, Y, and Z, like this particular, and it could be anything. I'm just using that as an example. I tend to try and understand where I can be helpful and where my desire to help can actually be harmful if I don't actually have the skill set or the tools or whatever, or the expertise, right? Okay. And then the fourth one is to check in. So we just don't like one and done it. We don't just like check in with people, have them bring up all these emotions and then just never check in with them again. So the check-in is repeating, like circling back, right? My friend and I, my best friend KT and I, we call it kangaroo. I'm going to kangaroo with you tomorrow. We'll kangaroo tomorrow, we always say, right? So it's like, are you going to kangaroo with them? Are you going to check? Oh, that's so interesting, actually. This is Australian. That this Are You Okay organization is Australian. The kangaroo is a spiritual team on the job. And so it's like, checking in with them so that it's not just like a one-off or a one and done, right? So that they know that you care and that you're actually there, that you didn't just ask to be polite. You actually give a shit, right? To be consistent, to follow up. This is really, really important. And it's such a simple thing, And I was thinking about this. I'm like, what's something really simple that we can do to spread more love in the world? And I just thought this fits the bill. This is so powerful and it's so impactful. And it's such a small, tiny little thing. And it's 4 simple steps that could change somebody's life. And so much about this is what's so beautiful about it is they offer so many resources. So this is so great, again, especially if you're a parent, if you have children, but in any area of life, I was really blown away. I was really impressed. I can tell that this organization did their homework and they really, really care. So I'm going to spell out the website for you. And it's the letter A, right? A like is rabbit, A, U, right? The letter U, and then the letters O and K. So this is the website. It's AUOK.org, O-R-G, .au. And they have so many resources. Like if you want to have this conversation with somebody you work with, a coworker, there's like work resources. There's educator resources because what else could be better than teaching these skill sets to little kids? So for teachers and educators, there's educator resources. There's community resources. There's ways of talking to your mates or your mob, as they sometimes say in Australia, how to be a better friend. And it's like hashtag better friending. You know what I'm saying? This is so fantastic. There's a resource for if you're a part of a sports team or a sports community, right? There's LGBTQIA plus resources. There's neurodivergent resources. Like, how do I maybe ask this questions with my friends who are neurodivergent, right? There's resources for people who are going through grief and experiencing grief. There's one for relationships. There's one for people who are having financial stress and checking in with them, right? There's one for people who maybe live in rural areas, who are out there remotely and don't get checked on a lot. There's one for seniors. There's one for people who speak a different language. I was like, holy shit. I was so deeply impressed by this. And I hope if you're still listening that you actually do this. I hope you take me up on this opportunity. And that's what I'm doing here today too, is I'm checking in with all of you and asking you, are you okay? And if you're not okay, do you have somebody you can talk to? Can you reach out to somebody? Do you have a support system of some kind, a sibling, a friend, a pastor, a coach, a teacher, somebody, so that you get to understand that you're not alone? And the thing is that a lot of people, like, how do I say this? I'll like talk to pretty much anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like weird about like starting conversations with people. And because of, I think of my personality and also what I do for work and stuff, people can go pretty deep, pretty fast with me. And I'm comfortable with that. Not everybody is, right? So some people might feel like I don't want to intrude or it's rude to butt into people's business or whatever. But you guys, we all need each other. This is how we're going to get through the madness of this human experience, the insanity that is this being a fucking human on this planet today, is we need each other. And for somebody to really turn to you and look at you and see you and to put this much time and effort to picking the right time, picking the right place, asking the question, asking those 3 preparatory things, am I ready? Am I prepared? And did I pick the right moment? All this is going to it shows this individual that they do matter, that what they need does matter, that what they're feeling does matter. that they are loved, that they are cared for. You know what I mean? It's like, what a beautiful gift to somebody. And if nobody has done it for you, and if you feel like you're the one who's always the one asking that question, just know that I'm asking you right now, how you doing? Are you okay? And you can answer me if you want to. You know what I'm saying? People often do write to me and tell me how they're doing, especially if they're having a tough time. And again, I just thought this was so lovely and so powerful. And I hope that you ask somebody. And, sometimes we have to ask ourselves this question. Sometimes maybe other people are all up in their business, their own business, and they're not paying attention to you at all. And sometimes you have to stop and get really honest with yourself. And you ask those younger parts of you inside too. And you say, hey, how you guys doing in there? Are you okay? Because some days we are not okay. You know what I'm saying? Some days are tougher than others. And I just thought, again, that this is a beautiful little thing. And so the 4 steps again are: number 1, ask; number 2, listen; number 3, encourage action, right? The E. And then number 4 is check in. ALEC, ALEC. And I hope this has been helpful to you. I know a lot of people out there are not feeling okay right now for multiple reasons. There is so much pain. There is so much hatred. There is so much separation. There is so much violence. There is so much violence. There is so much that is going on. And we are a part of a lot of what I would call like really, really sick systems, and a sick society. And if we're not careful, we're all just going to get sicker with it. And this is one of the ways where we can stop and choose to do something different, choose to be an alternative to what social media is like showing up for us, right? Like all the insanity. And I just think this is a nice way to practice kindness and compassion and care and love. So that's what I'm going to leave you with for right now. And I hope you're doing okay. And if you're not doing okay, I hope that you can have a listening ear, a kind, compassionate ear. And remember, if you're going to ask this question, the goal is to listen without judgment, to listen with curiosity and with deep compassion. Okay, so one more time. It's the letter iuok.org.au, and they have amazing resources. And even though their date for what was September 11th, we can do this anytime we want to. So maybe your Are You Okay day will be when you hear this podcast and you choose to ask this of somebody that you care about or have been noticing might seem a little off or like they're suffering or struggling. Because we all need each other to get through this thing called life. You know what I'm saying? All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. I care about you. I love you. You do matter. You do matter, and you always have. You always have. And so wherever you go out into the world, may you leave the animals, the other people, the place, the environment, and yourself better than how you first found it. Wherever you go, may you and your energy and your presence and your love and your question of are you okay be a blessing. Bye.